All right. All right. Let's get after it. All right, bro. I'm going to get this show started. And there it is. Welcome back to the Attitude for Gratitude weekly live show. Welcome, everybody. Tonight we got a newcomer on the show, a newcomer to the show, not to really recovery world. Listen, if you're out there struggling, please reach out. Tonight there's going to be a lot of messages going back and forth on the message board, whether you're listening from YouTube, whether you're listening from Facebook, whatever the case is, please, I urge you to utilize the comment section to network with people. If you're struggling, please reach out. I'm going to get my phone number on here once Jeff starts talking, when I have some time to put my number up there. Basically, what I'm getting at is reach out. We struggle, we reach out. That's one of the big, huge benefits to this thing of recovery. If you're not in recovery and you didn't know that, we do that here in recovery. 612-791-9942. That's my number. If you're not comfortable reaching out on the message board, just reach out to me directly. And that goes as well as comments and questions, concerns. If you notice I've missed something when I'm talking to Jeff, or there's something, questions you want me to ask appropriately, just post those up there and I will get to those questions or comments if you'd like. If you don't want it to, if you wanted it to stay anonymous, just go ahead and message me directly. A lot of people do that every week. So again, all I want you to know is like, you're loved. You're worth fighting for. We talk about recovery every week from every walks of life, from everything from the Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, CMA, church, meditation, whatever it looks like, we talk about it and it can be done. So all I ask is like, get after it. You're worth the fight. You're worthy. You're loved, man, or girl, or guy, or this, or that. So 2218, that's where you're listening to me from, like every week. And this club is the world's longest running Alano in the world, continuously. Stayed open during COVID, been around for like 80 years. It's nuts. There's so much that happens up at this club, and I won't spend a ton of time. I noticed last week when I was advertising, like our viewership went from like 200 to like 3. That was near the end of the show, though. So I know I drone on about some of the stuff going on at the club, but I just want it to be known, like this club is so... there's just so many things going on up at this club, and I just want it to be known. So one of the first things I want people to know about is that this club is ran by volunteers. That's what happens up here is the people at the front desk, the people cleaning the joint, the people out cleaning the parking lot, the people planting flowers. It's all volunteers. I bring that up because I want you to know that you're able to come down here and volunteer. Please do. If you have community service hours, come on down, get those written up. If you want to become a member to this club, I know there's some big things happening. There's some big things happening with the new board members and some things being changed around. I don't know about membership dues. I don't know about the fee for room rent, but I know things are being adjusted to be more economically friendly by the sounds of it, just the feedback I've been getting. Eventually I'm going to sit down with Bobby and he'll tell me some of the new pricing and stuff, and we'll see what's appropriate to share online here or on air. So just know that there's multiple options to come start a meeting here, and I'm going to share about a few of the brand new ones that are going on. We finally did get Al-Anon back in the building. This is huge. Like this is, let me just grab this. Al-Anon. It is at 2218 here, Thursday nights at 7 p.m. in room 23. This is a new meeting, so come check it out. This is for like, if you don't know what Al-Anon is, it's for like the family members of alcoholics or addicts. If like it's somewhere where my mom would really do well at, or you know what, I could benefit from Al-Anon because I still have a lot of all you people. Shit. It helps me learn how to live with people like myself. So, yes, Al-Anon, come check it out. We got it starting on Thursday nights at 7. We also have CMAs coming back in the house. The name of it is Mathematics. Mathematics of Recovery. This is on Sunday nights at 6 p.m. starting. We used to have one every Tuesday that went on forever, and then things happened where they're not in the building no more, and it was a void of that. So we do have that fellowship back in the building, Mathematics of Recovery. Come check that out, CMA meeting. And then we have Friends of Dorothy. Matter of fact, I just met with Darren. He's one of the guys, or one of the people on the board. But he's also part of this new meeting that started a few weeks back. I've been talking about every Friday night at 8 p.m. up here. I think it's in the annex. I got to find out that exact room. But this is an open LGBTQ plus meeting. Basically, you're all welcome. Everyone's welcome to come check this meeting out. And I was told that also we wanted to make sure that we know there's something called it's sensory friendly. Someone's going to explain that to me later. I don't know what that really means, but I went in there and I spoke with them and I was like, is there anything you guys or gals or whoever would like me to add to the advertisement of this meeting? And Kip told me to make sure everyone knows that it's also sensory friendly. Basically, this meeting, if you're not comfortable with the meeting you're at and there's some other things going on and you want to check out something new, like I just shared about 3 different fellowships here, plus the Alcoholics Anonymous meetings that go on every day here, Narcotics Anonymous meetings that go on every day here. Come check it out. Sorry if you're hearing the horns of honking. I have the windows open and the parking lot's right behind me. So here's the other thing I was going to bring up is the 5th annual Ride for Recovery. This is going to be a blast. We're going to really start talking more and more about it the closer it gets. But it's huge. Every year we've been doing this now for 5 years. The day starts out at St. Paul Harley. Brad's cooking breakfast. Matter of fact, Brad will be on the show, I believe, next week. I'll check during when Jeff's sharing some of his story. I'll kind of get my ducks in a row here and have that information. But yes, Brad will be cooking his famous pancake and sausage breakfast at the St. Paul Harley. I'll be doing the podcast from there, interviewing people that are going out on the ride. And then they take off like at 10 o'clock. They do a safety meeting before they leave. Then they pull back here at the club around noon. And that's when the festivities kick off here. There's silent auction. There's raffles, 50-50s. There's dunk tanks. We got live music. Zoo Factor's here. Vic's cooking. We've got speakers. It's an all-day event. Come check it out. I'll talk a little bit more about it at the very end of the show, but it's the Ride for Recovery. The event here at the building, even at St. Paul Harley, you don't have to be on the ride. It's the name of the day, but I own motorcycles. I don't go on the ride because I'm doing the podcast stuff. So bring your friends, your family. Everyone's welcome to come check it out. I encourage you to come check it out. It's a day of fun. And like I said, lots of things are changing here at 2218, and I just encourage you to come check it out. If you were here 6 months ago, it might not be the same if you come tomorrow. Like I said, things always are changing. We're evolving here in recovery, and that's the big, huge thing of all this. We got game nights coming up. We've got dances every month. Here's the thing. We have Jane's Cafe, and then I'll be wrapping up all this advertising talk, but Jane's Cafe is awesome. It's like $7 and it's home cooked meals. Tomorrow night it's a pot roast, potatoes, carrots, tossed salad, lime, jello, pineapple, carrot cake, mini chocolate chip cookies, water. What's that?
I said, let's go.
Yeah, it's basically for $7. You're not eating like that anywhere else, and you're getting filled up. Come check it out. If you're looking to come have dinner, go out, take your honey boo boo pie out for only $7, and you look like a good guy. Usually, this Sunday would be when we're doing the pancake breakfast, but because of Easter, they've switched it to a French toast breakfast on the 16th. So I'll talk about that next week, and come check it out. And hey, everyone, happy Good Friday. Jeff?
Yeah, amen, brother.
Happy Good Friday.
Thanks, same to you.
All right. Other than that, hey, Eric, what's good, brother? Again, if you're listening to this, whatever whatever option you're listening to it on, whether it's Facebook Live or through 2218's Attitude for Gratitude page or on YouTube. Feel free to share this with anybody and everybody. You can reach out to me directly. I put my number on there if you're not comfortable putting any questions or comments up there. But please, it's an interactive show. So keyword there, interact. If you want to see the show go in a certain direction, if you have any questions or comments or concerns, get after it and put it up there or message me directly. This place, the Alano Society Minneapolis, they have a vision statement. It's to be the premier Alano clubhouse serving the community by offering support, strength, and hope for those seeking recovery and for their families. Our values are recovery, wellness, and inclusiveness and innovation. Woo, Jeff. How you doing, brother?
Good evening, my brother.
Who are you again?
Jeff Spears,
Hey,
alcoholic.
Jeff Spears, the alcoholic. I know Jeff from these rooms, and we ride bike together. Matter of fact, last year we went on some heck of a trip, huh?
Yeah, that was amazing, man.
We're going to talk a little bit about that. Let's hop into it. Are you okay sharing a little bit of your experience, strength, and hope with us?
Well, I think that's why I'm here.
My man. All right, well, however you want to start it, however deep you want to go, however long you want. I'll try my best not to interrupt and want to ask questions about some of your story, but get after it.
Now, wait a minute. You do know me. You just said you know me, and you said you can go as long as you want. Be careful.
It's all you, baby.
Oh, man. You know, it's funny. I was talking to somebody a couple weeks back. I got my opportunity to tell my story a number of years ago at a meeting down in Shakopee, and I think I had like 45 minutes to speak, and I really blew that one. I mean, I had 10 minutes left, and I was still a teenager, so that one didn't
really?
go well.
I'll tell you. I'll be like, all right,
No,
Jeff,
no.
time to get sober.
Anyway, wow. Well, my name's Jeff. I'm an alcoholic. My story, it's kind of a long one. I'm going to see if I can give you the Cliff Notes version here. So I actually, my family moved up to northern Minnesota when I was about 8 years old, 8 or 9. And we ran a resort up on Mille Lacs Lake, and it was a great place to grow up. I mean, I absolutely got to experience all the blessings of fishing and hunting and motorsports and you name it. One of the things that I also experienced was the ability, well, let me back up a little bit. So I was a dock boy at our resort, and, you know, I used to help people. I'd sell minnows, launch boats, clean fish. Now, we had a lot of different people come up to the resort, and you know, there was many families that would come, and they would put their boat in the water. They'd go out fishing. They'd come back. They'd load up their boat, and they'd go home. And there was another group of people that would come up there just to party.
Oh, yeah. We know those guys.
And so they'd put the boat in the water, go sit in the bar. They'd go fishing, maybe not. And, you know, for some reason, I was drawn to that. You know what I mean? It's like, well, that looks like fun.
At what age was that? Did that
so
start?
I'm like 12,
Oh.
13 by now, you
And
know.
that was looking good.
And I was like, wow, that looks like fun. I can't wait till I get old enough to do that, you know. And so I didn't wait until I was old enough to do that.
Oh, you are one of us.
I had access to alcohol at a really early age.
Was there a bar in your
There was a
resort?
bar.
Okay.
And there were boats that were parked in the marina overnight that had coolers full of liquor and beer, and I suppose about 13 years old or so when I probably started drinking once in a while, and I wasn't very good at it. I was the youngest of 3 sons, and you know, my 2 older brothers, they were not cut from the same cloth, but pretty close. And So anyway, my dad was pretty wise by the time I came through, and I didn't get away with much. So I guess we'll, you know, it was something that I thought was like, that's what grown-ups did. I wanted to be a grown-up. Well, the truth is that it got me in a lot of trouble from the get-go.
Was there consequences fairly early? with
Well,
your drinking?
most of the consequences were, you know, strained relations with my own family.
Right.
So fast forward a little while, I moved down here. I moved down to the cities when I was a junior in high school, and
Just you or the whole family?
no, my mom and dad divorced when I
Okay.
was really young. So
right.
my mom stayed down here. My dad got remarried. That's when we moved up north. So I moved back down here as a junior in high school, and coming from a graduating class of I think 82 to a graduating class at Coon Rapids that was somewhere in the neighborhood of 800.
Yeah.
I mean, it was culture shock in a big way. And of course, I gravitated towards the easiest crowd I could gravitate to, and that was the partiers.
Partiers.
Anyway, so those were my friends, you know, and we hit it hard. And, you know, it's funny because when there was never, to me, sobriety, recovery, not partying, not drinking was never something that I saw. It's nothing that I desired. And I didn't think being sober was even an option. And I didn't start really getting in trouble with the law till I was in my late 20s. And then I got in a whole lot of trouble in a short amount of time. Yeah, so, you know, sometimes we talk in meetings about the good old days, and the truth is that, you know, this thing started stealing my life from the beginning. And it wasn't so much necessarily getting in trouble or consequences like that. It was not chasing my dreams, not
Right.
following through with the education that I really wanted.
Was
So,
it like partying just took a front seat?
well, yeah, it was
That's what everything revolved around, basically.
right.
Right.
Yeah, you know, and it's like I did end up going to community college after I got out of high school a couple years later, and I did that, and I got the 2-year degree. I went nights, but that was the end of my education, and I've been painting houses for the last 40 years.
Yeah, but you say that, you know what?
No, I mean that's not necessarily, you know, that's
Is
not
that, are you saying basically like that's not what you wanted to do?
that wasn't my plan.
That wasn't your plan?
That wasn't my plan.
You had a plan? Like in your head, you thought,
I had a plan.
what was it? If you don't care, me asking.
You know, it's crazy because I always wanted to be like a professional person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it be sales or whatever that looked like, something. I didn't necessarily want to use my hands to make a living for my entire life.
Right.
You know?
I got you.
And you know, now at this age, it's like some of that's starting to rear its head. You know.
Well, and
But-
all right. So, side note is I'm gonna say what you already know is Jeff is a professional painter. I mean, listen, I've been to a couple of your job sites. You don't paint rental properties, dude. You're over there on Lake of the Isle. You become top notch of your profession, and that's here nor there. What I'm saying is, like, don't cut
I
yourself.
appreciate that,
It-
man.
dude, I
and,
walked-
and it's been a great career. You know,
Yeah,
I've owned my
yes.
own business for going on 23 years.
Yeah,
and,
and you like vehicles and home, like
and it's been good.
Yeah.
You know, is that really what I wanted to do with my life? Well, you know, owning your own business is incredibly awesome, but I never really grew it to the point where I could just run it. You know, I've
Right.
been working. I've been working a long time.
So
man.
like to take away with what you kind of just said was like, okay, sure, I'm a successful painter, but this isn't what I wanted to do, and the reason I didn't do what I wanted to was because of the
absolutely.
partying, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
I get it.
So yeah, I mean it's started stealing stuff from me from the beginning. You know, it was. It's easy to look back on retrospect, you know, but
Well, it's easier with a clear head nowadays. To see
so
that.
well, that's for sure. So you know, I got the DUIs. I got quite a few of them, and then I in 1999 when I got my last one, I was kind of, you know, my scorecard read pretty much 0 at that point.
Right.
And I did get sober, and it wasn't through a 12-step program. It was through a Christian-based program, and I stayed sober for 4 years, and that's when I started my own business, and life got good.
So
And
that was in when?
that was 1999. I was sober till about 2003.
Was that the first bout of sobriety you had?
Yes.
No, I know I said, give me your experience.
Now
straight
I'd had some AA stuff, but it was mostly, you know,
forced.
it was forced. It
Okay.
was like, you know, probation officers, judges, bosses.
You weren't out to try and get sober.
No,
it was
no,
you had
no,
to.
No.
So up till that point, up until the 4 years through a faith-based situation, like getting sober was not even something you were thinking about.
Not until
Even
I had,
with the
not
legal
until
shit.
I ended up with no other choice.
Right. Okay. So last resort. Okay. So then you get the 4 years. Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, you know, I started the business, life got good. I got everything back that I lost and more. And I, at some point, said, well, God, this has been great. Thanks for your help. I think I'll take it from here. And that started a 5-6 year slide back into active alcoholism, addiction. I learned that being self-employed gave me a little more leeway on whether or not I actually
Yeah.
had to go to work, or how long I had to stay there, or what shape I was in when I showed up. But in 2008, well, let me back up a year.
Yeah,
So
take your
I
time.
lost my brother. My brother took his life in 2007, and my alcoholism went from fairly bad to horrific.
Like
And-
blackout. Like just,
Like it was, oh man, it was dark. It was a dark year. Lot of trips to detox, trips to the hospital.
and this 2008-ish, 7-ish.
Yeah, this is from 2007 to late 2008, so it would have been a good almost 2 year span. And about around the end of 2008, my youngest daughter showed up at my door needing a full-time dad. Now, I was every other weekend dad for
Okay.
her until she was almost 8 years old.
How many kids do you
I have 2 daughters.
Okay. Okay.
She's my youngest, and so, yeah. So
Yep.
anyway, I was faced with some serious decisions. I had a little girl that needed her dad. Her mom, through her mom's choices, her mom was no longer able to take care of her.
Okay.
And I was like, dude, this girl needs you, you know.
You knew it
And
inside.
I knew there was no way that I could keep living the way I was living and do this. There was no way. And so it took a little bit, you know, we went through this custody battle, and I wasn't sober through the whole thing, but I was trying hard, and late 2008 I found myself in detox on Christmas. And I was up at what used to be the Mission Detox
Yep.
up there in Plymouth.
Okay.
And now remember, my faith in AA, my belief in AA, I had nothing. The only time I had ever been sober was through that other program, and like I said, I walked away from that. So I'm in detox on Christmas Eve, 2008, and I remember, you know, people bring meetings in, you know, but I'm like, I wonder if anybody's going to bring a meeting in on Christmas Eve, you know.
Right.
Because, I mean, every time I was there, I was like looking forward to the meeting. It was like the only bright spot of the whole day, right? That's why I love bringing meetings to detox.
Yes.
But anyways, so these people from the depot in Hopkins brought the meeting that night, and for the first time, I was just blown away at their willingness to sacrifice their Christmas Eve and bring a meeting up to the detox, and I was just like, wow.
Just the act itself of doing that.
Yeah, and I mean, the message they carried. Well, I decided that. Now this took me a couple weeks because I was in pretty rough shape at that point, and it took me a couple weeks to get my head clear, and I ended up starting going to that meeting at noon every day. And being self-employed, it was winter time. I went there every day, dude, for like 3-4 months straight. I mean, I had now.
Which meeting?
The depot in Hopkins.
The depot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Anyways, so man, I just poured myself into it. I got a sponsor. I started working the steps. I started hitting meetings. I went to that one every day. I started finding nighttime meetings, and I was all in, man. And it was like, it was amazing. It was like I found a way that I could bring. I always thought they were separate. Like my Christian walk had to be separate from this because this is, and for the first time I kind of realized that, wow, I can mix these things together. You know what I mean? And so I didn't have to leave my faith behind. I could bring it with me in the rooms. So worked the steps. Started sponsoring guys, once again, life got good. Life got really good. And lo and behold, that same pattern that same thing that happened before, it happened.
4 years?
It happened again.
You took your will back?
Well, absolutely. And it was it was kind of a slow thing. It probably took about a year from when I started to feel a little disconnected. It probably took a year before I actually relapsed, you know what I mean? So that was 2013 when I relapsed, and wow, it was crazy because I seriously thought I was never going to drink again. I honestly did. I had it just didn't seem like it was possible. But you know what? I learned it's always possible, And so after that slip, that was a slip. It was a couple days, and I went back and I stayed sober for a year. Then it happened again. And I stayed sober, I think, 6 months. And then this merry-go-round began that lasted quite some time.
On that topic, so you had this. Things were getting good. Like there's already this pattern. You get that 4 years, life turned around. Then,
life gets good pretty quick.
Yes, and you notice this. So then you get after the mission comes in, and then you start going to the depot. Boom, things are good again. Upstairs and life. These slips. Is it just like you have a slip? Boom, it's a heavy week of drinking, a weekend, or are you out for a year? Like, are these just?
Well, I was kind of getting to that.
Oh,
but,
hey, but no. Keep going, going.
This is the real and eminent danger of complacency. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like at 3 years sober, I never even thought about drinking anymore. I mean, it was just like completely removed from me. How it crept back in, I could sit and try and analyze that for days. But the truth is that what happened was, I stayed sober for a year. I relapsed, came back again immediately, sober for 6 months. I never got another year sober for a long time after that, okay?
What was that back in that? How long did you say sober that was stretched? Was that?
That was early 2009 to early 2013.
Okay, so shit, for another 4 years.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then that merry-go-round goes.
Yeah.
Of in and out, in and out.
And I got stuck in this merry-go-round where it was like I couldn't seem to put together any lasting time. You know what I mean? I was like, and I was like, well, all you got to do, people say, well, Jeff, you know what to do. You know what to do. You've been around here a long time. You know what to do. And it's like, I tried to do what I did before. I tried to do what I did before, but it didn't work. You know why it didn't work? Because I was different. The people in my life were different. The program never changed.
Right.
A lot of things changed. And what I did before worked back then, but it didn't necessarily work now.
A guy was on the show 2 weeks ago and said, I can't stay clean on yesterday's shower.
No. Absolutely
It really
not.
made, I mean.
Absolutely not. So where, let's see. So the coolest thing though, and if I look back on this, the coolest thing is that I was never ever willing to shut the door on you guys. Through all of that, through all of that, I never was like, oh, see that, this is never gonna work.
Dude, for 5 years, I can personally say, for over 5 years, I can say now, like, you've never been like, no, fuck you guys, Tim. That AA is bullshit. I've never heard you ever blame the program.
No, and I've always been deathly afraid to completely walk away from it. I mean, it's like, and maybe some of that was kind of adding to my confusion because I was like, well, I'm still part of this, but I'm not really in. You know what I mean? I'm part of it, but I'm not. Yeah. So
Here's a question came in. No, keep going. This will come up. I'll ask it in a little bit here. Your question will get asked here shortly.
So I guess I got to the point where it's like, well, you know what? You better like go back to the beginning here, brother. Because if you think you can just like like I said, I had to. I mean, I had to go back to not to the beginning, but like, see, all these things I've been learning, and even though that there was a lot of pain and a lot of personal isolation and all the crap that goes along with active alcoholism and addiction, it was like I'm so happy that God was actually still gave me a mind that I could see the truth. And it's being in this circle of recovery for now many, many years. All my friends are in recovery. All of them. Not some of them. All of them.
All of them.
And so every time that I've relapsed and gone back, it's a loneliness. I mean, the book talks about a loneliness that few will ever know. Mm. I experienced that before I came into these rooms, but I experienced it even deeper level after relapsing, and the fact that now it's like there was nothing to go back to. You know what I mean? It was just loneliness and isolation and solitude, drinking, misery.
Here's the question: Did AA wreck your drinking? You've heard that before. Once you get into recovery, but
I've heard that before.
There's a depth to that question, and it's more or less people listening who aren't in recovery. Like, here's the question: is like, since I think it goes beyond. Oh, you tasted sobriety. You surrounded your life as people in recovery. Everyone's sober now, like, or has something to do with recovery or sobriety. So then, when you go drink, instantly, what? There's guilt, there's shame, like all these things build up, or I don't know.
Dude, it wasn't about tasting recovery. It was about I was like on the mountaintop, and then I chose to go back down into the valley.
I like that.
And it was, it was horrible every time, and it got more horrible every time. So, but you know, I always knew you guys would be here. When I was done with this experiment, if you will, I knew you guys would be here. You know, I just knew it. And if it wasn't you guys, it'd be a different group of guys. But there'd be people.
rooms.
They'd be there.
Right.
You know. Now I will say that back during COVID, when COVID first hit, and
You want to tell that story?
I'm gonna
What'd
tell.
you do?
I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell the
good.
story because when COVID hit, I was about. I think when COVID hit, I think I was like 30 days sober, and scared to death, literally. And
When the shutdown was coming, we
Yeah,
knew things
yeah.
were going to shut down. Everything, meetings, everything were going to start shutting down.
You want to hear that? You
Yes.
want to hear it? You
'Cause
wanna
I know
hear it? All
Paul
right, I'm
came-
gonna-
Paul and me
I'm
talked
gonna-
with you
I'm
about
gonna-
this.
I'm gonna tell it, dude.
I love it.
So I'm the kind of drinker that buys one bottle at a time, right?
Yep.
Because that's always the last bottle.
Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
And when I decided that there's no way I was going to stay sober through this thing, I decided to go stock up. And it was ridiculous, dude. It was
What does stock up
absolute-
mean to a guy like Jeff S?
I mean, we're talking cases
Yeah, couple cases
of vodka
of vodka.
in the big bottles.
The 175.
No, we're not messing around
No.
with Traveler Fifths here, you know.
We're going to get about 30
And-
175s.
And when it hit my brother Paul Birch, he knew where I was at, and you know Paul's been like closer to a brother than me to me for a long time now.
Without talking to you, he knew something was.
Well, he knew. He
knew.
knew what was going on, and I think I made it maybe halfway through the first bottle, and there's a knock on my door, and it's Paul, and he's like, "Pack your bags." I'm like, "Where am I going?" "Going on a trip." He's like, "No, you're coming to stay with me, with us." And I stayed with Paul and Carolyn for 6 months. You know, what a blessing! What an absolute blessing! I literally, Tim, he saved my life.
Dude, I cried when he told me the story.
He
Tears.
saved my life.
That's what people. This is what this program is. You make those connections like that. Anyone else? We have. Now, bear with me. We have people that listen that aren't in recovery. That are tiptoeing the water and just wondering. They're curious. People are curious. I got parents listening. You know, this is someone you're not related to. You met him in recovery, and he saved your life.
Oh, absolutely.
He knew. When he told me, he was like, "I knew something was up. I just knew something was up.
Well, you didn't.
I know Jeff.
I mean, I bet plenty of people knew something was new, but everybody was wrapped up in their own fear.
Right,
I
yeah.
mean, we didn't know what was going to happen, and the fact that he said, "No, you come stay with us."
Because you were ready. I mean, read between the lines, you guys. It's he bought enough booze. I mean, that's leaving Las Vegas shit. You have enough. You drink yourself to death.
Yeah, and the detoxes were closed,
Yeah. Everything.
and the hospitals were full.
They weren't taking new people.
You know, it was like this was like a fear. My fear was the same as most people's, only it was exponential because I was sure I was I was done.
Yeah.
I was done. That was another one of those moments where the love of God shone through the people that he's put in my life. It's undeniable.
God with skin.
Undeniable. So, and I would love to say that, that started and I've been sober since then. That's not the case. There's been more research.
More research.
And it's been, the outcome doesn't change.
So here, let's do this. Let's just fucking hit the fast forward button because you said it. It's this merry-go-round that keeps happening. That song and dance that we've heard it. It's since 2013. I mean, now you've got some time. Not the 24 years you should have from 99 till now, but hey, you're here.
Amen.
So now you're sitting here today, and like, what does life look like today? What does life look like for you today? Because I know you dealt with some shoulders. Like you're dealing with life and
Yeah.
stuff's happening. What like you responsibly went and had a surgery on your shoulder. That's for a painter.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
A
That's
self-employed
It's a
painter.
big deal. You know, that's crazy because I had shoulder surgery December 30th, and I knew I was going to be out of work for 3-4 months, and I was like, I had flashbacks of the depot meeting, and we have a noon meeting out at West Suburban Alano and I'm like, dude, you're not going to be working. What? You just go to the noon meeting, dude. I've been going to the noon, as long as I've been out of work, I go to the noon meeting, You know, I live out in St. Bonnie, so it's not like down the block,
No.
but it gave me a destination. It gave me
yeah.
a chance to hang around with people every day. You know, I need to hang around with people that care whether I live or die. You know, that's my recovery now is really based on that. It's like I spend time in the rooms of AA. I spend times doing fellowship, and all the people that I spend my time with now, for the most part, genuinely care about me, and I care about them. So this family that I've been so blessed with is, you know, my awareness of how truly blessed I am is what is, to me, is the key.
Yeah.
It's the key today. It's not, you know, I've overcomplicated this thing for a long time.
Yeah.
For a long
like
time.
Right now. No.
A long time.
Yeah.
Try to go backwards, figure out what I did wrong, what do I got to do different, what, you know, all this stuff. There's been, like, I've had multiple spiritual awakenings during this journey, you know, and I guess my realization, if you will, now is that this gift is here for me if I am willing to do what it takes to receive it. Okay, I can't earn it, but I have to put forth the energy in order to see the reality of the gift. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
I used to think, well, you know, like I said, I get all hung up on the mechanics of the steps, and you know, there are mechanics. However, the book says, the sole purpose of this book is that you would find a relationship with your Creator that will solve your problem, your problems.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. And I can say honestly that, wholeheartedly, that I believe that deep in my heart.
Someone wants me to ask, what does this statement mean to you? A simple program for complicated people.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I think you just explained it, but
It is simple. It's simple, but it ain't easy.
you said like you've made it complicated
Oh, for sure.
when you know it's simple.
I'm a thinker. I think a lot of us are overthinkers. You know what I mean? It's like the truth is that I don't need to necessarily know
Right.
why it works.
Yeah.
I don't need to know. Well, I mean, I know it does. I'm just saying that I don't.
You don't need to get all hung up on the mechanics that you've said it like over and over. Is that what your brain does? Is it goes down this road of trying to dissect the why is it working or how do I make it work for me specific? I mean, I know that. See, we're doing that right now. We're complicating it,
Yeah, we are.
but this is part of podcast shit.
Yeah,
bro.
no, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the 4-step. I'll just bring this up, you know. I mean, so I've done a number of 4-steps, and I've had some instruction on it. And it's funny, the first one I did, I mean, it took me way too long to do it. It was a novel, and I was certain that this was the 4-step that was going to change the face of recovery for everyone. They were going to print this thing in the back of the next edition of the book. And I remember showing it to my sponsor, and he looked and he's paging through this, basically, notebook full of my entire every little thing that I ever did, and it was a catastrophe. And so I rewrote it, but I recently did a 12-step weekend out down in Belle Plaine. This guy taught this weekend seminar, and it was the 12 steps in a weekend, and it was mainly for people that'd been around a while and maybe looking for whatever. It wasn't something necessarily that you'd want a newcomer to.
Okay.
But it was very instructional, and I loved the way the guy taught the 4-step. It's like, his main thing was, well, there's a purpose here, and if you know the purpose going in, it can help you do it without making it so utterly complicated that, yeah, and the purpose is that I would find out and identify to myself what it is about me, what it is about me that makes me feel unworthy of this, or
This guy helped you see this?
well, this is a journey. So I've had but the way he laid it out, it was very. He's like, this is a self-searching. This is for you, man. This is for you.
Yeah.
This is to show you these things about you that you don't like.
Like character defect?
Yeah, and you know what I mean? And it's like these things that keep you hung up on feeling not good enough, not worthy, not a part of the human race, whatever you want to say, So it was really good. It was really good.
Do you remember the guy's name by chance?
And I did another 4-step that weekend. This was like about a month ago. It was fantastic.
Do you remember the guy's first name by chance?
Oh man,
His
first name's Greg.
Greg. Okay.
And he's out of the Mankato area. He does a lot of these. So I could find out a little more.
Yeah, it's what helps one person could help another.
Oh, absolutely.
But then on the other flip side is what I might do could kill you. Find your recovery.
Yeah.
You know how that goes.
Yeah.
So today's looking good. Jeff started touching on it is, every day going to this noon meeting. But I've been seeing you SNL. I've been seeing you back around a lot.
Yeah.
Whether it's because of work. If you shouldn't be working and you go work, what happens when your arm's not cooperating with you?
Yeah, well,
Well, what happened? You tried to get back at it, and
I went back to work a few weeks ago, and I've learned. I don't know if you know this about me, but I learned things kind of slow.
Oh, really?
No, but I learned that maybe I might have rushed it a little bit. So.
What did the docs tell you about it? Like 6 months, no more, or did they even give you a timeline?
Well, no, it's all relative, It's like there's certain things I can do and certain things I can't, and I'm finding that out. You know what I mean? I'm taking a little break for a couple weeks right now. So.
But you have been back to work since your surgery, and now you're taking a couple more weeks.
Yeah.
Attaboy.
Yeah, that's progress right there. It's like, okay, let's back her down. Just back her down. Take a little break.
Because with work, you're the one doing. At one point it's Triple J. There was 3 of you, right?
Yeah. Well, I've had a number of people working for me at times, but since COVID, the last 2 guys that work for me through this last couple years, they've gone off to do their own thing, and I'm back to working solo, which is, it's okay. I'm not out painting skyscrapers. I'm remodeling kitchens and, painting cabinets. And I do what I can do.
Right.
So it's good. I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to have a great client base that, continues.
You're great at what you do. Like I said, I'm going to share a little story. I don't know what the thing was, why it was happening, but I don't know why I ended up at that job site of yours. I don't know why, if I had to see you for a reason, or because I wasn't there to help you with anything, or
Well, that was right when we were doing the Lake Harriet house,
that
right?
big. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
big. It was, but I mean, it's a $2 million mansion.
Well, we were there for almost a year.
Yeah,
painting
that was a
house, yeah.
biggie.
That was a big job.
But that was like the type of high end. You doing high end properties type stuff, and yeah, those type of clients. You stay busy. That
You want to
speaks
talk about a
volumes.
higher power doing things for me that I
Yes.
can't do for myself?
Yeah.
I mean, we literally started this job like 2 weeks before COVID hit. And it was they gutted this house, redid it, and a huge job. And we were able to work on that one job through almost the entire first year of COVID. People didn't, I don't do new houses anymore. I haven't done them for years. So, I mean, when you're doing remodeling, remember, people didn't know. They didn't
Right.
want,
Everyone's scared to
and
spend money, and
nobody didn't want people they didn't know in their house. That's
Right.
for sure. Well, there was nobody living there. And how cool was that?
yeah, that kept the lights
But
on.
you
yeah.
did come and look at that
I did.
job.
Yeah, I'm trying to think why I was even there, but
Anyway.
I know it was a beautiful home. Thanks for sharing some experience during Tulp. We're nowhere near that. Just opened up some can of worms for people to throw some questions out, and I think a lot of these questions I'm going to ask you kind of went over and answered. The first one I wanted to ask you about is higher power. I think we already know the answer, but I want you to answer it. Do you have a higher power today, and how does that look like in your recovery? If you have one, do you utilize it with your recovery today?
I do have a higher power, which I choose to call God, and he directs my path, and he is responsible for I'm not a big prayer when it comes to getting on my knees and spending an hour in prayer. But I learned some time ago that this God of my understanding, that I needed him in that van all day. Like, I needed a God that I could, some of you may relate to this, but this for me is really what this boils down to. Like, I can go to a meeting every day. I can hang out with people every day that are in recovery. I spend a lot of time by myself working. I live by myself. I spend a lot of time in that van, and I'm like, when the strange mental blank spots come, and it's like the enemy says to me, wouldn't it be nice to have a drink? And I need to be able to look into the passenger seat and go, hey, can you help me out here? Because that van needs to make it home without stopping at the liquor store. That's a big deal, because there's been many times in the not that distant past where I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it by myself. And people will say, well, you just, you gotta, when you're feeling like that, you gotta call somebody. I do call somebody. I call my highest somebody and help me, just, and that goes for a lot of other stuff, whether I'm feeling angry, or, it's not just about getting past the liquor store. I mean, I'm not white knuckling it past the liquor store, but there are these thoughts that continue to come, and for me, they come out of nowhere, it seems like, and it's like, yeah. So So, but it's, I mean, my higher power it shows up in all these different ways, in the rooms, in the friends I have, in the eyes of my grandchildren. You know what I mean? And it's just, if I'm looking for it, this is one of the biggest things that I've had to learn, and it's been painful. But I have to be looking for these things. If I'm not looking for the mirror, when I walk into a meeting, if I walk into the meeting with the wrong attitude, it's not good. If I walk into that room in awe, not just of my own recovery and my own sobriety today, but if I walk into that room and I look around and I'm in awe at all of you, because honestly, none of us should be there. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
But the grace of God, you know what I mean? And so if I can stay in a state of awe over the fact that we get to do this, I stand a really good chance of having a good day and not drinking or using.
Kim, thank you. Kim B. She loves you, buddy. She's one of your fans, dude. Thank you, Kim, for the support. So yeah, you know what, we have a guy recurring on every month. They'll be on, I think, next week. Rick and Jesse, they do the 4-step workshop out of 2218 every Wednesday. And
I know Rick B.
Yeah, he's good shit. I love when they're on it. And he shares some things like about some sponsorship. And this made me think about with what you said is he has a view on sponsorship a little different than others. He feels it's the way it should be, whatever his view. But a sponsor-sponsee relationship, he said basically what you just said. You said, when you're thinking of a drink or something, you do call someone, God. And he's like, you know what? I don't call my sponsor with I think I'm going to drink. I talk to God first.
Absolutely.
My creator, that's, like you said, this book points out, it's going to help us find our creator. Now we have to utilize these tools that have been put right in front of us. Remembering to do it sometimes that's where I fall short all the time. Like that type of stuff, I just fall short on it. But that reminded me of that. I forget, like we find this higher power to some greater than us. Because sometimes the people, it's not God. They can't find him yet, or whatever the case. But something bigger than me to give my problems over to.
Right.
Each to their own on that. And we all know we have our own journeys. We've all seen it. I want to talk about, you know what? No. I'm going to read something to you, and I need your take on it.
All right.
And how it applies in you, and what does it mean to you? Admitting that we are powerless over alcohol and that our lives have become unmanageable. What's that mean to you, Jeff?
The first step is, it says that, you've heard it said, and this is the only one we have to do perfectly. For me, that first step, I got to have that in my pocket too, because if I don't carry this knowledge, this realization with me, and it's like, I may screw up a lot of things during the day. I may blow it on a bunch of different aspects. I might succeed some things, but if I make it through the day without needing to take a drink of alcohol or do drugs, then I've completed the most important part of this, because if I do this, then I have a chance. I actually have a chance at doing the rest of these things. If I don't succeed at this one, then the rest of it doesn't even matter. And so, as far as testing this theory, this step, I spent so long trying to prove that I was not, And then there was many years when I knew I was and didn't care.
Right. Right.
But the first step is, it's for me. It's the
The coup de grace.
It's the building block for everything else because, like I say, if I don't, yeah, I already said it. Yeah.
All right. There's this thing that it says faith without works is dead. Have you heard that before? It's in the book. It's,
I
think
have.
end of chapter 5, somewhere maybe chapter 6 or
It's
something.
in a couple books.
Yeah, faith without works is dead. Someone said it to me like this: I can pray for the potatoes to grow, but if I don't go water them, they're not going to grow. So I still have my side of it. Others have said faith without works is dead. How can you have faith in something without ever putting in your own effort? What does that statement mean to you? Faith without works is dead.
Well, we're taught that our primary purpose is to carry this message to the still suffering alcoholic. Now, that can look a lot different for everyone. Part of it is showing up at meetings. Part of it is showing up in life, in a different way. But like I love going to detox meetings. I love going to first step meetings. For me, it's like I have this incredible desire to focus on the recovery part of this program and the miracles that I see all around me. But I also need to keep my focus on what happens if we don't do the things that we need to do and how much that misery, page 24 says that I am unable to recover with sufficient force the pain and suffering of a week or a day ago or 10 minutes ago. But when you're part of this and you continue to hear the stories, not necessarily the story of the newcomer coming in either, but listening to people's story, listen to the old timers' stories. You know what I mean? And it's like I need to be reminded of both sides of this deal. What can happen? What does happen when you put the work in and you. And then I also need to be reminded of what happens when you don't, because even though I know in my heart what that looks like, I know what that looks like to me. When I see and I hear other people sharing about it, it makes me feel even more, it makes me have even more peace knowing that I'm in the right place,
Why do you think, and I don't know if you like it best, but why do you enjoy taking meetings to detox so much?
Because I was a client. I was a
You're
guest.
familiar with detox?
I was a guest at detox. As a matter of fact, there was a time in my life when detox was my safe place.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's like I don't think the cops ever brought me to detox. When I had no other answers, that's where I went because it was because it would at least give me a chance. You know
like
what
a
I mean?
reset, almost.
Right. Like it would at least give me a chance. Because there are many times in my life where I just couldn't quit drinking,
Right.
But yeah. And I get that same kind of feeling when I'm reading the book with another man, with another guy. Or when I'm just trying to give somebody some hope.
Do you think that goes hand in hand with? I've noticed. I've never heard your take on this before. Like I don't know if we just haven't had that conversation, but you say like you walk into Rome and the awe of really, if you go in there with the right mindset and you notice like, holy shit, I'm in here with 40 guys that shouldn't even be here. What kind of miracle is that to warm your heart or that importance to you? What does that mean? Like, dive a little deeper about that. I've never heard you share about that before. But I think I'm understanding what you're saying is to have to be aware to walk in and see that. Does that put you in a place where you're able to hear a better message or
Oh, absolutely.
Where were you going with that?
Absolutely. And, so I wake up today. When I woke up today, I was amazed that I woke up feeling like I did because I didn't get drunk last night. Okay. But, that feeling, that kind of goes away. It doesn't necessarily go away, but it's like it's not like something I can't just ride that cloud all day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's really a conscious mindset that if I stay in gratitude mode. I mean, isn't that this podcast called something?
Attitude for gratitude.
So it's like if
we'll touch on that.
So if I can keep an attitude of gratitude, and I know it's like I'm amazed. I'm amazed at my sobriety, but I'm equally amazed at yours. And if you're doing something, or if there's something that's why I like talking to people, because it's like, if I talk to you and I have a mind of listen, if I want to hear, instead I want to talk,
Mm-hmm.
I can, and trust me, I'm guilty of that because I like to talk. But I think my higher power has something that he's trying to show me through you, and yeah.
Well, who is it? John B. I think John B. or something, or Bob, who God was skin. Like, I have to be listening because God could be speaking through this guy who's sharing. I might not like this guy. I might hate every time he speaks, but if I'm shutting myself off to hearing what he's really saying, I might be missing out on something that is coming through a different power through him. God with skin. There's all these things.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I was in a meeting a couple weeks ago, and there was a 20 gal in her early 20s, and it's like this girl, like I think she's newly sober, and it's like, well, what could she possibly have that I need to hear? Mm-hmm. The girl blew my mind with just a couple things she said, and it's like that's what I'm talking about. It's about my attitude, and am I in a receptive mode, or am I pushing everything away,
There's another fellowship that Narcotics Anonymous, there's some things that I've really taken a lot out of, and like they, find the similarities, not the differences. If I come into a meeting about that guy doesn't know this, she doesn't know that, or their differences, I'm already off to a negative start. It's looking for similarities, like there's all those stories in the back of that book, so I can find myself in something. There's some way I can relate. Do you ride motorcycles, Jeff?
I do like motorcycles.
How many motorbikes do you own?
I got one or two.
So Jeff's got about a half dozen.
No,
He's going to go buy this new CVO probably.
Got a couple horses in the stable. Yeah.
So I think last year we went to a place called Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
Oh my God, that was so awesome.
How do you contribute being able to do shit like that and recovery?
Interesting. Recovery gives me the opportunity to do just about, well, not anything, but it gives me the opportunity to have a chance to do things. I talked earlier about the things that this thing has stolen from me, you know what I mean? And none of it is physical. None of it is like, although I'm sure, I have lost things, money, things, whatever, over the years. But the greatest thing now is that I have a choice. I have a choice. And when I'm in active alcoholism, I wake up, I go through my day, I'm feeling like I have no choices. Mm-hmm. So the choice to be able to experience that trip, because that's the first trip I've been on in a long, long time. And that was the first trip I've ever been on with people in recovery.
I didn't know that.
And it was just, I mean, I had a smile on my face. the
Dude, you
whole
couldn't
time we
listen,
were
guys.
there,
Guys and girls, listen. I didn't have enough rags to wipe the smile off Jeff's face. Like, here's the thing, and there was times I had my arm around Jeff's shoulder, like crying when I'm like, look at this, because I'm one of these guys. We're out riding in the middle of a run. I pull over because I get overwhelmed. Like, just to be able to take in a fucking tree and a hill in the background type, just something that seems kind of corny to a guy or whatever. I realize that the only reason I'm doing this is because of the life we live now in recovery. I get emotional talking about it, but it's being out there with guys like you. You know how it was. The day you left, like, I'm crying and shit. Didn't want you to leave before us, but and of course we're all gung ho, like, we're coming back. It's things like that, going on those trips, doing the Arkansas run or whatever we do. That was only because you were sober. You weren't coming along if you were drinking.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely not. That's
And-
absolutely not. And
See, in a guy like me, I think in my mind, I'm like, all right, Jeff's never going to drink again. Like, he just experienced this. He knows, like, this is because we didn't drink. But see, that's not always it. That's when I share, like, I speak at a inpatient place, and I share, like, oh, I own these 3 motorcycles. I own this. I have this. None of that keeps me sober.
no.
And I realize that.
No.
That should be gone, and none of those things can keep me sober. And until we say it sometimes, I don't realize it until it sometimes comes out of my mouth. I was kidding myself to think I could ride on that trip with you. Oh, that's good, Jeff. That's all he needed.
You know, this is one thing that I've learned. I've learned a lot of things, but this is one thing that I've learned. If I wake up in the morning and I just assume that since I was sober yesterday, that I'm going to be sober today, it's taken me a long time to figure this one out. If I wake up and I just assume that because I was sober yesterday that I'm going to stay sober today, I am not doing well. You know what I mean?
Trying to stay clean on yesterday's shower.
Yeah, well,
I get it. But the failure, not failures, but going through that ringer so many times. And you know what? That doesn't keep you sober either. Going through the ringer doesn't keep a guy. So I think you hit on it earlier pretty well about that. There's a couple of things, I don't need to know the mechanics of this. As long as I'm just, in the game.
well, but I know the mechanic. This is the thing. It's because I've been to treatment more times than I can count on both of these hands, okay? I've been to detox. I've read the book. I've read lots of books. I did all these mechanical things thinking that if I just gained enough knowledge about this, that there's no way I could fail.
Yeah, staying clean on yesterday's shower. Back to that.
But just having all the knowledge, it got to a point where it was more of a liability than it was an asset.
Because you're resting on your laurels. Isn't that what that was called?
I think resting on your laurels is what I was talking about as far as, the success of yesterday guarantees me success today, which it absolutely does not.
Yeah, the knowledge, it's action. You said that, getting to it's
The book says the self-knowledge is basically a liability. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, why didn't somebody tell me this? Wait a minute. They did.
You learned
and
it, yeah.
and I had to learn it myself.
The smashing of delusions. Happy to hear the smashing of delusions.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, John B.
John B.
Yeah, and John A. Thank you guys for supporting and checking in. So sorry, this is gonna be a little. Oh, go ahead.
If we're gonna, as long as we're gonna touch, as long as you're talking about John B. The one we got to read the book together for a little while, and even before we sat down and read the book, he told the one thing that he really helped me with is he said this idea that we are like other people has to be smashed, and I always thought, well, that means that I'm thinking I'm like the normal drinker, and he said, no, that you're like anyone else, Jeff. You're you, so you have to make this for you. This has to be for you,
Right.
And
it clicked, right?
And that was huge.
Yeah.
That was huge for me. That was huge for me.
It's another. It's that thing that God was skin. what he, being able to hear what someone says.
Yeah.
I think is huge.
Ears to hear, man.
Yeah, ears to hear.
Yeah.
This is out of left field. Do you think there's UFOs and aliens out there?
What? No.
Yeah, this is off
All right,
topic.
all
Do you
right.
believe that we're alone in the universe? Do you believe that there's
I absolutely do not think we're alone in the universe.
Say what?
No.
What do you mean?
No, I do not think we're alone.
how
in
do
the
you
universe.
feel that way? What do you mean? You believe
I
there's green
think
guys?
that there is I mean, I'm not so much into the green guys, but I don't think that of all this expanse that is the universe, that this is the only place where there's life. Nah, I don't think so.
All right, so we're not alone in the universe.
I don't think so.
All right, I wasn't going nowhere with this. I've been tasked to ask one or two questions off topic.
You definitely blindsided me
Yeah,
with
it's
that
left
one.
field stuff.
It's-
What does the word willingness mean to you?
Well, credit John B. on this one. Willingness is the only thing that differentiates a person in recovery from a person sitting at home right now drunk. It's the only thing that differentiates, because we may have the same knowledge of this disease, but without a willingness to go, to do, to pray, to think, to feel, to be vulnerable, to be present. Without that willingness, the desire to be sober means absolutely nothing. Because I wanted to get sober from probably the beginning of, not when I was a teenager, but when this thing started to rear its head on me back in my 20s, I was like, this is not going to end well. So I've had the desire for a long time, but the desire alone doesn't, yeah. Willingness is key.
Willingness is key. Love it. All right, yeah, because that's a question that got posed to ask you. It was open-mindedness, honesty, or willingness, place them in order, and what do they mean to you? Everyone always answers it's willingness, so I like to just really ask, like, what is your feelings on willingness? And it's the cornerstone. It's powerful.
Yeah.
John dropping heat rocks on us.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on the benefits of having men's meetings versus just open mixed meetings, men and women? Do you see there being a benefit for you?
I think, yeah, because I go to I go to a lot of meetings, and I go to men's meetings, and I go to mixed meetings, and I think that the men's meetings, it's just like when you're in a meeting with your same gender, I just think the guards come down a little bit more. You know what I mean? It's like we're not. Yeah, and it's not like, well, I can use more foul language because I don't have women to offend. It's not even about that. It's about, yeah, I like to mix it up, but I do like men's meetings because it's sometimes you can get a little more deep, you know what I mean? And I'm sure the women feel the same way about their meetings. You know what I mean?
They usually it's usually around a similar-ish answer when I ask them that.
Right.
I know you shared your story with us, but I want to know what's been some of the biggest hurdles for you in early recovery, and how have you been able to tackle and overcome them, if you have? This is Tim, the interviewer.
Well, this is good. This is good. So I've learned by listening and watching others that, looking for patterns is a valuable asset, to be able to look at patterns, identify patterns. And when I had some time, one of the things of having this surgery is it gave me a lot of extra time, when I'm not working, and I've learned how to be quiet for a little bit each day. And if I think about the patterns of my past, let's just go from let's just talk about the last 10 years
Okay.
of because I told you I relapsed in 2013. So it's been roughly 10 years. And over the last 10 years, if I'm really honest with myself, I can see the patterns of okay, sober up, start to feel better, start to work these steps, start to identify these things that have been tripping me up, and it's like, uh-oh, now what? Are you going to make some changes to combat these things, or are you just going to like gloss them over and then wait until they... So there's... I think we're kind of talking about willingness again. It's a willingness now to really get honest with myself about some things. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be able to paint houses till I'm 80 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 55 now, and it's like I don't know how much, I just got the shoulder fixed. I found out I got to get a knee replaced here coming up. So it's like, and I didn't work hard my whole life to be crawling around with a walker at 65 years old. I mean, I got grandkids. I want to go fishing. I got motorcycles to ride.
Right.
I got golf to play. I got all this stuff I want to do. I did not bust my ass for 40 years so that I could. Yeah. So
Right.
so the truth is what are you going to do about that, Jeff? It's like, so.
I see where you're going with that.
And I can't just like flick a switch and go do something else tomorrow, but I can come up with a plan, an exit plan, whether it's a 2 to 4 year plan or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But just pretending like this thing is gonna resolve itself, it's not. And it's a big deal for me. It's a big deal for me because procrastination is deadly for me.
Is that what it is, or is it a lot of just fear? Or is there fear involved going on here?
Dude, everything goes back to fear. You know what I mean?
Needs to be asked.
But the truth is that it's like kicking a can down the road. It's like, you can only kick that can for so long. It's like, I mean, maybe I could paint houses as a 70-year-old dude, but I don't
Do you
really
want
want
to?
to.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why, because I posted something on Facebook a couple days ago that says, that if you're asking for answers, you better be ready. If you're asking questions, you better be ready for the answers. You know what I mean? And up till this point in my life, I really don't always like getting answers. You know what I mean? Not to hard questions like this one.
Well, is a lot of that the whole a mirror? Having to look at yourself and know that there's going to have to be some change.
Do you know what? I think this entire program is like looking in the mirror.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, I used to tell people, it's because so in my bathroom, the mirror is directly across from the commode.
Okay.
All right.
Oh.
And so every morning I got this mirror, and I bought a big fake plant to put on the vanity so that I didn't have to look at the mirror. So no, we get sober, we sober up, we look in the mirror, we're like, oh man, oh wow, or maybe even before we get sober, I don't like what I see, right? And then I get to look in the mirror. I get other people to look in the mirror with me now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Other people that care about me look in the mirror and say, that's huge. You know, and it's like if I can be in a place in my heart where you can tell me what you see about me, and it might not be easy to hear. Yeah. The mirror, I think the whole program is really about
Looking within.
looking within. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to bring up or talk about? Any topics you want to talk about that I haven't brought up?
Well, I've been thinking for the last week since
That's the next question. It's about that anticipation.
about you asking me to do this and how excited I was, and then the closer it got, it's like kind of freaked out today a little bit. But
That's honestly why I didn't answer your call the other day.
what you thought I was going to call? And I was calling.
I
to
wasn't
cancel?
gonna. I wasn't gonna give you the chance. I've had. You know how many times in 3 years I've had that call on Wednesday from a guest who's. It's here's what the question before that was gonna be was basically, what was anticipation to this? This was another not about recovery, but what was anticipation in your head about this show once you committed?
I'm just excited to share my story, because, I went through it real quick, but my story isn't that much different, than anybody else's. But my story is like the most valuable thing I have, and I had plenty of story like 20 years ago, man. I had enough story. I mean, I didn't have to keep adding on to this story as far as the pain and the misery. Right. But our stories are so important, and I guarantee you, no matter who you are or what you've been through, that there's somebody out there that needs to hear your story. You know what I mean?
1,000%.
And it might not even be somebody in the rooms of AA. It might be a relative. It might be a coworker. It might be, who knows? But I mean, our stories are valuable. But you know what? If we're sitting at home by ourselves and on the couch watching TV, our story doesn't carry a whole lot of value.
Carries none.
Until we share it with other people. You know what I mean? So I'm no longer ashamed of my story. You know what I mean? I mean, this has not been fun for me for a long time.
So this last 10 years hasn't been like the best?
No. It's like it has been really a tale of two cities, because on the one hand, I've had all these awesome people in my life, and I know now more than ever that they only did what they could. And I used to say, there was times where I'd be like in relapse mode, and I'd be like, how come nobody calls me? How come nobody's coming? How come nobody's calling?
Right.
And it's like, well, that's not how we do this,
Right.
dude. We don't drag people back into the rooms. But when they're ready, we're here.
We don't shut the door on our wounded, but we won't cheat them out of their bottom either.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. So this story, although it's not the one that I would have painted had I been able to, you know what I mean? It's like, if you would have told me 25 years ago that this was how this was going to go, I'd have been pretty angry at you. You know what I mean? It's like, but now it's like I gotta talk about it, and I gotta show up, because you know what? I know for a fact that there's other people like me that have had success and gone back and struggled with finding a way, finding their way. And man, I'm telling you what, it's like, that's why I'm so freaking amazed about the fact that I'm sober today, because for a long time, I just thought it was just never going to happen. It just was never going to happen. And so, yeah.
Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah.
All right. Jeff getting real. Love you, brother. Always here. Brad B.
I love you too, Tim.
No, you already know I do. That was Brad checking in. Tony, hey, buddy, and big brother. A lot of people checking in tonight. You're the top-notch guest. What do you expect? So, what's your favorite kind of motorcycle?
Oh man.
No, wait. What is your favorite kind?
I knew where you were gonna ask.
Yeah. What's
me
your
this.
favorite kind of motorcycle, and what's your favorite motorcycle to ride?
Well, let's see here. I mean, my friends on Facebook have seen pictures of this orange thing that.
Yeah. What's that?
Is
that a new crotch rocket? What is that?
That's not new, dude. I bought that brand new in 2008.
I've never seen you ride it once.
Well, there's been something that happened here a while back that kind of took away my ability to ride
those kind of bikes, or just riding in general. Yeah, you know what? Screw
Do you
that.
want to talk about it?
You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna come back to that question.
All right. But
So
no,
we-
I mean,
we've
I
had-
want to ride the sport. The people call them crotch rockets. It's a super sport bike. That's
right.
What they, super
All right.
sport.
So we've had some deaths in recovery. Some really close people to us on motorcycles.
Yes.
Kevin, we just lost. Was that last year?
Yeah.
And it was terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
it was terrible. It was on the Gopher State run. Not anything because it's a Gopher State run, but that's where it happened, and it was terrible.
Yeah,
it
was
fucking hurt. Like,
sad.
and I know a lot of people now still today they don't go on group rides. A lot of decisions are made out of what occurred on that. How did that affect you?
Man, I'll tell you, it's. I couldn't believe it when it happened, but I know one thing. Kevin loved to ride, and he was doing what he loved. But I'm when it comes to safety gear and stuff
Yes,
like
you
that,
are.
I'm very big into that, and I believe in it. But that's my own personal view on it. You know what I mean? Everybody gets the right to do what they want to do.
Our whole way to Arkansas, you're the only one. You're geared up. Didn't matter the temperature. You had your helmet on and your riding gear the whole time. You're the only one.
So when I was a kid growing up north, we had snowmobiles, three-wheelers, dirt bikes. My dad was, we worked hard, but we played hard, and there was one rule that you wear your gear, and if you don't, you don't ride.
Okay.
So it was literally beat into me at a young age. Not beat, but
It's a great thing to have instilled in you.
And now it's like if I choose to not wear my gloves or my boots or my, it's just I just don't feel it just doesn't work for me. So.
Right.
But anyway, I do love riding. I am looking forward to riding the sport bike, although I don't know how my body is going to like it because I haven't really ridden it in a few years. I lost my privilege to ride my motorcycle. My last DUI, which was 1999,
Yeah,
so was that
that's-
24 years ago. But I had gotten multiples, and that earned me a special endorsement on my driver's license.
Yeah, but you know what? A question about that is 99 was your last Dewey. Was that just like the breather in the restrictions? Is that just because you addressed it finally, or did they really say you have 20 years that you have to?
No, it was because I was, I had the special endorsement on the card, and the local officer in my town finally added up the two on another trip to the house, and he called the DMV and said, and that's how I ended up with the.
Yeah, but I
with the
figured
blower.
that if the last Dewey was in 99, like usually you're not being affected by it 20 years later.
Well, I felt pretty ripped off.
I guess that's not where I was going. I was
but
wondering,
did. I felt pretty shafted, but you know what? I did make an agreement with the state of Minnesota, not to, and that I would not have any contact with law enforcement under the influence,
And you did it.
I did.
I remember you telling me, but you know what though? We got to give credit to that cop. He kind of looked out for you.
Yeah.
And
Well, living in a small town can
Hurt
have its
and help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we became friends.
Kim, he does have a Harley. He's just got so many damn bikes we don't see him on all of them. He's got a fat bob like myself.
Yeah,
His
I
is
got
just
the-
like 10 years newer than mine.
The
but-
truth is that I probably the bike that I rode down to Arkansas, the Yamaha.
What is that, a Yamaha
the
what?
FJR. That's probably my favorite bike.
I've never seen a motorcycle that has a powered headlight that can go up and down,
The windscreen.
the windscreen, windshield that can go up and down by button. That bike is badass.
Yeah, it's
and he
fun.
can ride wheelies.
It's fun.
Kim would like a ride on it. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, everyone who's checking in. We really appreciate it. If there's any questions that you have, and like I said, if they're appropriate, I'll address them. I've addressed a few of the questions, people that have personally messaged me that just aren't comfortable asking on here, and that's okay. But Jeff is an avid two-wheel rider. He enjoys his motorbikes and quick cars too. If I'm not mistaken, weren't you rebuilding a vehicle or?
Yeah, we got a little car project in the garage too. Yeah. I don't know. I like my toys.
Yeah,
I won't lie.
And that's all.
I
good.
work hard, and my dad. Actually, my dad. It says you work hard, you play hard. You work hard, you get to
You
play
get
hard.
to play hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yeah.
but interestingly, that it's interesting when I talked earlier about the things that this disease has stolen from me. There was times when I'd come home years ago and I'd be like, well, I could ride or I could drink, but I can't do both. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
And a lot of times I chose to sit home and drink rather than enjoy the gifts that I'd been given.
That's the thing you shared about that earlier when you started talking about your experience, strength, and hope. You said like you were cheated out of or you were robbed of, like that.
No, I gave up.
Okay,
things.
then you gave up things.
Yeah,
we'll call it how we call it,
right.
but because of your choice to drink,
Yeah.
because of that. Some say it's not a choice. Some say it's a disease.
Well,
We used to really go down that road in early podcast days about that was one of the questions. Do you feel this is a disease or it's a choice? And you know what? I got to the point where I don't want to talk about that. It doesn't matter. To me, that has no weight over me doing recovery.
no.
It just doesn't.
But the way the book describes it as a disease in the doctor's opinion and more about alcoholism, I mean, it answers a lot of questions.
Sure, yeah.
As far as, why. Why is it that when
But here
I
you go
take
with
a
the
drink-
mechanism
right,
shit.
why, when I take a drink of alcohol, why, why can't I stop?
Right.
You
But
know?
I guess it's for me, and I got to always remember these I statements in speaking from my side of the street. That's not going to help me to stop or keep going. It just doesn't. If anything, like you said, the knowledge is a detriment sometimes. That to me, knowing, well, shit, it's a disease. I can't say it's almost as another excuse for me to keep. But
It
that's
gives you an out. Yeah.
yeah, that's just my side of the street. I have a couple questions for you. How does the moon cut his hair? Eclipse it. What do prisoners use to call each other? Cell phones. There you go. Nice and easy. All right, I got one more corny question. Where are the average things made? And the satisfactory. And the satisfactory.
Nice.
All right, we really walked away from dad jokes a while ago, and that's the reason why, guys. Jeff, wasn't that bad? Went pretty good and easy, huh?
What time is it?
It's about 10-2, quarter to.
Holy cow. Where did time go?
Yeah, time flies when you're talking about our good life.
I'm blessed. I'm so blessed that you asked me, Tim. Really.
Here's what I do with situations like this is basically on air, hold you accountable to something. Would you come back on the show?
No, absolutely.
All right. And when we get to Arkansas again this year,
Amen. Yeah,
and I
let's
have
go.
the
Let's
show
go.
again, you're going to come on the show when we're in Arkansas.
Let's go.
Good enough. All right.
Go.
Because that's what we do after the show tonight is we're going to confirm dates about the Arkansas trip, which I've already showed you the dates. But all right, my friend, I love you. And what I need to finally ask you is, what are you grateful for today in life? Take as much time as you need to explain that answer.
Well, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my AA recovery, my recovery family. I'm grateful that I have a choice today. I'm grateful for the pain that I've gone through, because that's where my gratitude comes from. That I don't have to live like that, you know what I mean? So I'm grateful for so many things, but I think that if I could sum it up with, like, it's that I get to experience life, you know what I mean? And I get a choice. I get a chance. So.
Oh, yeah. You're the best, dude. I'm going to go over a couple of things, and I'm going to end with one more corny-ass question. So the Ride for Recovery is coming up, guys and gals. We got Gopher State's coming up.
Woohoo!
Gopher State Roundup is May 26th through the 28th. It's a full lineup of speakers, and it's a blast. If you haven't been, check it out. Like, it's a blast. Fifth annual Ride for Recovery and all-day music jam at the world's longest continually running Alano here at 2218 First Avenue South. It is a Ride for Recovery. It's an all-day music jam. Saturday, June 24th. $20 in advance. You get a wristband or a 25 day of. Check it out, you guys. You do not have to be like an avid motorcycle rider. You don't have to go on the motorcycle ride at all. I always say this. I own multiple motorcycles. I don't go on the run. I'm doing the podcast from the St. Paul Harley in the morning. Then I'm doing the podcast from here. If I wasn't, maybe I'd be out on the run. But what I'm getting at is you don't have to own or ride a motorcycle to partake in that day. It's tons of fun. We have live music all day. We've got barbecue. We got raffles. We got 50-50 drawings. We got silent auction with some of the coolest stuff ever. We do a dunk tank. We got Johnny Pops and world famous root beer floats. We got so much stuff going on. And if you've never seen hundreds of bikes pulling into a parking lot at once, you got to come check it out. It's a blast. So that's happening on the 24th here at 2218. That's in June. We have got some new fellowships coming into 2218. Like I was saying, I think that there's been some, I got to sit down with Bobby, the new president, and I think that the board came up with some different pricing or something. Come check it out. If you're looking to start a new meeting, 2218 is willing to work with you guys to get these rooms filled up down here. We need you. We brought in some other fellowships. We got Al-Anon back in the building. That's on Thursdays. Yeah, Thursdays at 7 o'clock. Come on down, check it out. We have got, all right, bear with me, LGBTQ plus and, gosh, what was that word? Sensory, what is it? Sensory friendly meetings here. That is Friday nights at 8 o'clock. Come check that out. We got CMAs back in the building. We got everyday NA meetings. We got multiple everyday AA meetings here at 2218. Come check out the building. Come check out the club. Become a member of the club. If you're looking to do something here, partake in or volunteer, come on down. The club could really use some support and could use your help. If you got ideas for this show, if you'd like to be on this show, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you have someone in mind that you'd like to hear on the show, reach out to me. I put my number up there, or put it in the message board, or if there's a direction you'd like to see this show go, let me know. This show is not mine. The show's the communities, the recovery communities, and it's making quite a few different moves moving forward. So I'm hoping you guys are on board with the way it's going to start curving itself out. But like I said, we're always open for suggestions. It's what this program's about, and it's what my recovery is about. Jeffro.
By the way, I do have a Harley, and it's badass.
There you go. Yeah, I told you guys. He's got a Harley. He's got a crotch chocolate. Yeah. I'm doing June, so we shall see what baby decides. All right, Jalissa. Yeah, and that's the other thing. I'm not going to name everyone, but thank you for the support tonight. We've had tons and tons of people reaching out and thanking you for sharing your story. A lot of people had questions that I did ask. A lot of those questions came from people listening, but a lot of support, dude. You've been in these rooms a lot. You've made a lot of connections, and people are grateful for you. I'm grateful for you.
It's a beautiful day to be alive, man.
Yo, yeah. So, what's the first bike you're going to ride this season? We're sticking with the motorcycle situation. What's the first bike?
I'm riding tomorrow.
What are you going to hop on?
Well, the Harley's on the lift and getting some stuff done, so I don't know.
Well, what are you going to ride tomorrow?
It probably starts with a Y.
The Yami?
Yeah.
That's all good, dude. When you've got that many options, it's all good. What is the orange one? It's not Hayabusa, or what is it?
No, that's an R6. That's a 600 Super Sport, yeah.
600 Super Sport. Yeah. So, can you make it through the garage with the balls on that thing? They're so big. Yeah, no. Yeah. All right. So getting out
It's
on the
actually a young man's bike. I don't.
Oh, shut up, dude. This guy's, what did he try to claim he was 50? What did you say? You're not a day over 54?
55.
55. And the dude is yoked. And quit with that shit over here. I'm getting old.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Next week, we have got a banger of a show coming up. I believe it is. I shouldn't brag about it until I know exactly who it is. Oh, hell yeah. We got Brad B coming on next week. Brad B and maybe Jen, but for sure Brad, as long as work doesn't intrude on the situation, Brad will be on here. We're going to be talking about motorcycle stuff. We're going to be talking about recovery stuff, NAAA. We're going to be talking about the Ride for Recovery and his world famous cooking. So yeah, get your questions prepared. Come check us out next week. And until then, Jeff, thank you again. I fucking love you, dude.
I love you all, and this is really. I'm really blessed. Thanks, brother.
And all you people out there, last thing I want to let you know is like, you're loved. If someone hasn't told you today, I'm here to tell you, like, I love you. If you're struggling, reach out to me directly. I do tell you, utilize this message board, but if you're struggling, reach out. You're fucking worth the fight. You're worthy. You deserve your happiness. You sit here every week and listen to us talk about how we're looking for our happiness or finding it, but you're worth it. So fight for yourself by fighting however that looks, whatever it may look like. I challenge you to just go find something. Otherwise, reach out. I'm here for you. We talk about it every week. So I love you. Next week, we'll talk to you. Bye.